Welcome to the Top Agent Podcast. We speak to top industry leaders in real estate and extract their insights to help you grow your business. This podcast is powered by Web for Realty, the leading provider in real estate marketing tools. As our way of saying thank you to our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 2-month free promo to the best IDX websites, CRM, and email marketing tools in the industry. Just go to topagentpromo.com to claim this exclusive discount, no strings attached. If you're looking to attract leads, build relationships, and close more deals, go to topagentpromo.com and get started. All right, I am very excited to introduce my next guest. I'm speaking with Loida Velasquez. Loida is a real estate professional with eXp Realty from Southern California. Not only is Loida an amazing agent, she helps thousands of realtors through coaching and her social media. She is close to 100,000 followers across her social channels because of the great, valuable content she's putting out. So Loida, really excited to have you on. Welcome to the Top Agent Podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited for us to chat and hopefully deliver some valuable information for everyone that's listening.
Absolutely. So if you don't mind kicking things off, just tell us a bit about yourself and how you got started in real estate and how you landed where you are today.
Yeah, so this will be my 6th year in real estate. Prior to me transitioning into this industry, I did a lot of marketing and advertising, and I did that for about 8 years. I absolutely loved what I did, but in one of the last places that I was working at, I was traveling 100% of the time, living out of a suitcase from hotel to hotel, and it just got to the point that I did not want to be living that lifestyle long term. So as much as I enjoyed what I did, there were many times that I felt also overworked and underpaid. And when I saw real estate and all of the possibilities, I knew that it was not going to be easy, but also if I put in the work and stayed consistent, disciplined, and always focused, I knew that eventually I was going to reach a level of success that I wanted to, and it would mean me be able to live the lifestyle that I wanted and be able to provide to my family. So that's kind of how I transitioned into real estate. When I first got into the business, my entire first year, all I did was door knocking. Then I transitioned into cold calling later that first year. I went a lot after the for sale by owners and expireds, and those are still leads that I go after, but that's kind of how I started to build my business.
All right, that's amazing. So, a lot I definitely want to unpack there. So you're 6 years in now as a licensed real estate agent, and you have the background in marketing, which I can definitely tell because your marketing seems to be, pretty spot on, especially on social media. So very good stuff there. So touching on that, so a lot of people might look at your social media and see all these followers and engagement happening, and think to themselves like, what the heck? I've been trying everything. How can I get that many people to follow and engage with my content? So if you had to just sum it all up, what's a secret to your social media success?
Yeah, so for me, it was all about being consistent and delivering valuable information. So when I first started putting out YouTube videos, the way that I started was because I remember being completely new and going on YouTube and trying to watch videos to get other people's feedback and experience about being a real estate agent. And I didn't really find those type of videos. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to start putting out that type of content because I'm pretty sure that it's going to help others. So I just started being consistent with that. It's not something that I told myself, I'm just going to focus on YouTube and grow a channel. It all happened organically as I was putting out content and putting out videos of me going out door knocking, how to get your real estate license. I saw that a lot of people were resonating with the type of information and content that I was putting out, and organically that's how they started to follow me and subscribe to my channel. I made sure to be consistent with Facebook and Instagram. That way I can also redirect them somewhere else. And that is pretty much how I have grown all of my social media platforms. everything has been organic, but everything has also taken time because I have been consistent. It's not going to happen overnight. It may happen that you might put out a video that does go viral, but I think that what's most important is for you to deliver information that's valuable, that people will see that you're genuine and trying to help them in whatever it is, and then naturally they're going to want to know more, and now it's going to come down to you just being consistent and putting out, whether it's a video or a post or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So was the social strategy in YouTube just part of your strategy since day one, or did it take a while for you to get into it?
It was a strategy in the beginning. Once I saw that I was getting a lot of traction and a lot of views. And back then, when I first started on YouTube, there weren't that many agents on YouTube putting out content. So I saw that as an opportunity for me to kind of start being consistent to eventually take over that space. And especially being a woman, I remember going on YouTube and not really finding a lot of women talking about their real estate experience. So for me, it was an advantage, and I wanted to take advantage of that. So being consistent and putting out content, I knew that long in the long run, it was going to benefit me and my team, because now where I'm at now, it's over 70,000 subscribers, and it just continues to grow. And now it has gotten to the point that I do get a lot of business just from being on social media and my videos.
That's amazing. So you mentioned it very briefly. Obviously anyone who puts out content, there's a slight chance something goes viral and just catches. But was there a particular video or piece of content that went viral for you, or just connected with the audience in the right way that allowed it to spread? Any situation like that?
Yeah, actually, one of the very first videos that I put out, it was tips for brand new real estate agents, and that's what I titled it. It was maybe like a 20-minute video, and I was talking about tips for being everything that I was going through, pretty much being new in the business, and that one really took off. Up to right now, I think it has like over 130,000 views, but it was from that video that I started to get a lot of traction. And from there, I knew, okay, I have to keep on putting out videos because I'm getting all these people that seem interested and they want more. So I want to be consistent. But it was that video way in the beginning that did that for me.
That's amazing. I got to post that in the show notes. Is that, as of today, still your most popular video in terms of views?
It's probably one of the top five. The
Yeah.
top video right now is how to pass your real estate license exam in California.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, talking about like providing value to the audience and being consistent, of course. So, like, is your audience with these videos more for agents or your potential customers and leads, or both?
Yeah, so my audience is mostly real estate agents, since my content is targeting agents and me sharing with them how to be successful, cold calling tips, scripts, and things like that. So pretty much all of my audience are agents, but here and there I do have consumers that just get interested into watching my videos, and I do get people, whether it's buyers or sellers, reaching out to me through YouTube or Instagram telling me, hey, I came across your videos and I'm thinking about selling my house, and it looks like you know everything about real estate, and I want you to help me.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So I want to talk more about your social media and your strategy, but just for context for those listening, how many deals or transaction volume do you do in a given year?
Yeah, it's around 40 more or less. Some of the deals I am able to do off market as well, just because I do a lot of cold calling, so I'm able to put deals together that way.
Okay, that's amazing. That's really great for deals, and you're in Southern California.
Yeah, Southern California.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Um, so I'm sure you get this question a lot. Like, how do you have the time to put together all this content and videos, and still have time to do deals and provide value and cater to your actual clients?
Yeah, so what I like to do is that I like to batch record content because, just like you mentioned, I mean, this is very time consuming. Up to this point, I have always edited my videos, posted my videos, recorded on my own. Recently, as of this weekend, I finally hired a videographer and an editor to start handling all of that. But over time, because I have been doing videos for so long, it's gotten to the point that when I do record a video, I can do it straight in one shot without really messing up. And then when I edit my videos, I'm so familiar with my platforms that I can easily edit in 10, 15 minutes. So it's just about having structure and having a schedule for when you are going to be doing what. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're cutting into your prospecting or your follow-up or your real estate business when you're doing editing and videos.
That's interesting. So okay, so batch recording content. So talk about that. Like how do you schedule like a day or two in a week, like the whole day, couple hours? Like how does that look?
Yeah, usually for myself, I like to do it on the weekend. So I'll schedule between like 2 or 3 hours where during that week I have already made a list of maybe 3 or 4 videos that I want to record. So then on that weekend, whether it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll just record. I'll take that time frame that I have set aside for recording and I'll just do the different videos. Maybe I'll change my shirt or change where I'm sitting at home so it looks different, but that's the way to do it.
That's amazing. So that's impressive. So literally as of like last weekend or this
Yeah.
weekend, you hired finally hired an editor and a videographer. That's wow. And how long was it taking you to put together, edit the content, the videos, post on social?
Probably altogether maybe like an hour. But when I have deals and clients and follow up, it just adds up, and it's now to the point that it's tedious work that is not income producing for me. So I needed to outsource that and hire someone to do it for me.
That's amazing. So, what's your goal or desired outcome when it comes to social media? Is it more like brand awareness? Is it just being front of mind? Is it lead generation? Like, what's the end desire you have for that?
Yeah. Well, it is a combination of all of those. Now, what I have seen and the reason that I keep on growing my social media is because when I do get in front of clients, whether it's buyers or sellers, but more specifically sellers, and they say, well, what are you going to do to market my home or why should I hire you? Then I can bring all of my statistics and my numbers of, look, I can put your property in front of all of these eyeballs that unless you hire the guys from TV, you're not really going to get with another agent. So it's all about how I'm marketing myself. I get a lot of referrals from agents in other states just because a lot of my subscribers and my followers are agents. So it helps me get more business that way as well and be able to refer it out. As of last year, our team is now nationwide, so we're all over the US. So it's just about continuous growth to the point that, I don't have to be making the cold calls and be getting yelled at or cussed out, calling the for sale by owners and expireds. And now I can transition into just handling referrals and working with people that actually want to work with me.
That's amazing. That's awesome stuff. So in terms of numbers, like you have, from what I can see, at least like by far the most number of followers on YouTube. You mentioned 70,000 subscribers, which is crazy. Would you say YouTube is the channel that's providing the most success and ROI?
Yeah, definitely. Just from agent to agent referrals, I get maybe around 2 or 3 a month now. It wasn't like that. Obviously, it's been over time, but the fact that I'm easily able to get these referrals when agents are sending me clients that I don't have to compete against other agents or handle like 5 or 10 objections to try and get the deal, it just makes things so much easier. So a lot of people find me on YouTube, and because YouTube and Google, if people go on Google and search real estate tips or real estate agent, it's very likely that I'm going to pop up or my videos are going to pop up. Um, that's definitely one of the platforms that has really helped me in my business.
That's amazing. So these are agent referrals from agents from other parts of the country or the world, and just referring
Yeah.
you to their clients, right? That's awesome. Um, so you also do real estate coaching to new agents, is that right?
Yeah, that is something that I started to do as of last year.
Okay, perfect. So, I've always been curious about this. Like, do you view coaching and the actual real estate business as two completely separate businesses that sort of have their own lane, or does the coaching business actually directly benefit from your coaching business in any way, or your real estate business? Sorry.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons that I started doing the coaching and the training for newer real estate agents is because as my platforms have continued to grow, agents still have the same questions that they would message me about. And when I saw that I was getting the same 5 or 10 questions, I figured, you know what, I want to create a program where I can bring everyone together, train them all in a way that they'll learn exactly how I learned, because at the end of the day it might happen that I might end up working with one of these agents in one of these deals, and I want to make sure that whoever I work with knows what they're doing, so it benefits not only me but it benefits them in knowing that they are being trained by someone that has been successful. And I'm a newer agent, I guess you can say. I haven't been in the business for 50 years like a lot of these older agents, and it also shows them, you can do it too.
I love it. I love it. So how many agents do you coach right now?
So what I have been doing, they have just been programs, boot camps. I have done 3 so far. And in each boot camp, it has been between 80 to 100 agents, newer agents, whether they have been in the business 4 or less years or are currently in the process of getting licensed and just want to have that blueprint of what it's going to take to have a good foundation for taking their business to the next level, especially being newer.
That's awesome. That's great. Um, so, switching gears just a little bit, to get to the level you're at, I mean, obviously it's not by luck. It's by design. It's by hard work and a grind, clearly. And you seem to be very deliberate in what you do. What are 3 things, 2 or 3 things you do each and every day to help you achieve your goals and just help you get closer to your goals?
Yeah, so I like to write down affirmations. I feel that, this business, it's like an emotional roller coaster when you're working with clients. Everyone has a different personality. People freak out. So you need to have a very strong mindset and know that at the end of the day, you can't let your emotions get in the way of a deal. I mean, there's some things that are outside of our control. So just writing down affirmations, knowing and being very positive, that's something that I do. I also like to make sure that I'm always reading and just feeding my mind and learning to see what I can do to take my business to the next level. And then along with that, surrounding myself with the right people that have a similar mindset to mine, that when I say these crazy ideas or crazy projects that I'm thinking about doing, they're very supportive, and they tell me, yeah, that's great. You can totally do it. And they don't question it like, oh, you're thinking like way too outside of the box. That's not realistic. So those are the 3 things that I would say are what really helped me.
I love it. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. I want to talk more about like the actual real estate side of things. So you mentioned you do, around 40 deals a year. In general, real estate, it follows like the same cycle, right? You have your initial database or contacts, you nurture these people, find opportunities, you do the sale, and sort of the cycle continues again. So what are some of the ways, and you alluded to cold calling a bit earlier, but what are some of the ways you add new contacts or new people into your database and just nurturing strategy?
Yeah, just like you mentioned, the cold calling, the door knocking, leveraging all of my past clients, my past coworkers, my friends, my family, everyone that I know. I like to have them in a system where I'm constantly sending them an email, texting them. Many of them follow me on social media. So what happens a lot of the times, and for anyone that's watching, is that you'll always have people that follow you, maybe they're friends on Facebook, but they never like or comment on any of your things. But the moment that they have a real estate need, you're the first person that pops into their mind. So I'm always staying on top of all of these people. A lot of times they never answer. I can see when they open emails, and even if they don't open emails, they are seeing my name. So those are some of the ways that I'm always staying on top of that, and just being consistent on social media so that they're always seeing that I'm posting, that I'm very active, and that I'm still selling houses.
Nice. See that's good. You know, oftentimes when I speak to agents who invest a lot of time and effort into social media and just like internet and online, a lot of times they're not doing the offline stuff like door knocking and cold calling. So you're still finding a lot of success in that.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the cold calling and even the door knocking. But what I have loved to do recently is that I want to increase my price point for the type of clients that I want to go after. So, what I have been doing is that I have been filtering to only be calling, whether it's circle prospecting or expired properties over 2 million, because I want to already start stepping out of my comfort zone because I'm putting in the same type of effort whether I'm selling a $200,000 house or a 2 million house, but the paycheck is much bigger on this other end. So let's just focus on that. I know that there's a lot less people calling those type of clients because they might be scared. Usually larger figures do scare some agents, so I just want to go full force on that, and that's kind of what I have been focusing on recently.
That's funny. Literally yesterday, I was talking to my business partner and friend, and literally saying the same thing. It's like either way, you're gonna work every day. You're
Yeah,
gonna do your thing. So it's like why not just go big? You know, think bigger and do more.
exactly.
So that's funny. All right, so that's great. So cold calling, you're trying to get out the comfort zone. Calling expireds over 2 million. What about like? So how often do you cold call? Is it every day or
Yeah, pretty much every day. Every day
every day?
between 8 to 11:30 I'm always prospecting on the phones.
Okay. And what about door knocking? Is that a daily thing as well?
That I don't do as much right now. I have focused more my efforts on the phone calls. If I do go out, it might be maybe like once every other week or something like that. But I have gotten very good on the phones, and I have a three-line dialer, so that's what I have been focusing on doing.
Nice. Okay, that's awesome. What about any? Do you do any like paid marketing channels or advertising or things like that that work for you?
As of recently, we started incorporating Facebook ads. Recently, maybe within like the past couple months. So that's something that we're doing. It gives us a lot of buyer leads, but right now the market is just so crazy out here that it really sucks for buyers. You can't get into anything without competing with like 20 or 30 other offers. So aside from the Facebook ads, we I haven't really done anything else.
Okay. Is it still too early to say how effective you think the Facebook ads are?
The Facebook ads, they have been effective. The people that I talk to that input their information are very serious and motivated when it comes to buying a home. The thing is that sometimes these people they don't qualify for one reason or another, or they have to work on something, whether it's their credit or their income. A lot of them, because of the pandemic, have been laid off or don't have consistent employment. So it just gets a little tricky with the type of leads that do come in. But overall, I have closed deals from Facebook ads, so it definitely works.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Um, what about so you know we spoke about like how you actually build your database and prospects. What are some of the things you do to actually nurture these contacts? Like, are there any systems and processes you have in place that do this, or is it like manual? Like, what's your strategy with the actual nurturing process?
Yeah, so I like to separate individuals depending on the time frames that they tell me. So I have my hot leads. For me, that's someone that's looking to do something in 30 days or less, whether it's going to be buying or selling, mostly selling. If it's buying, it's just a matter of looking and making sure that they're fully approved. But yeah, so I have those people in a system. I have my CRM where I have things that are already automated for me. So if I put them in a folder, they either get an email, a text message, or a call. So I have that system that tells me kind of when to do what. And then I have also another sequence, I guess you can say, for the warmer people or the people that might be like 6 months out. Because at the end of the day, it's all about staying in front of them, whether it's through an email or a phone call. I like to do a lot of video text messages just so that they can put a face to the name, especially if we have never met before. And now, because they have seen me in video, it's more likely that the next time I reach out, they'll answer me. Or many times, what happens is that when these homeowners or the buyers are not ready, they'll just ignore you and they'll ghost you and they never respond. But if you send a message, sometimes I have gotten them to respond and say, you know what, we're not interested anymore, but thank you, you can take me off your list. And I'd rather be to the point where I'm always staying on top of them and then tell me, leave me alone, because you just never know. They might just be too afraid to say, hey, Loida, just don't text me anymore.
Yeah, no, that's I agree with that. I mean, when I do sales as well for my business, when I used to, it's like I had this thing where it's like unless someone like specifically told me like, look, Casa, stop calling me, I'm not interested. Like that
Yeah,
person should technically still be considered a prospect or a lead, right? It's always
exactly. Yeah.
good to stay in touch because circumstances change. Maybe they weren't ready, now they are. So
Mhm.
persistence is key.
Yes.
So you mentioned you separate your contacts and your leads. You have hot leads who are ready less than 30 days. How many of these segments do you generally have?
It would just be three. So I have the hot leads, I have the people that maybe are 6 months out, and then those that maybe actually four people maybe in the first in like a year, and then I have just database people. They're never gonna move, they're never gonna do anything, but I have had so good conversations with them that they refer me people, and those are also people that I want to stay on top of and take care of, because they typically are the ones that know everyone in the neighborhood. And if they hear, Joe down the street wants to sell, they'll call me, hey, Loida, I think my neighbor down here wants to sell. You might want to come in and talk to them. So those are kind of the different folders that I have, where I have certain people and I have everything kind of automated.
Nice. And so I'm curious to hear what you do with the contacts. So does each sort of segment, you mentioned some are in a sequence, like are they getting different emails or text messages, or is it all sort of similar type of messaging?
It's all pretty similar. At the end of the day, I like to just be kind of short and sweet, like, hey, just checking in, wanted to see if you're still on track to make the move by September. Um, Whether it's a phone call or a text message, many times they don't respond, but I just like to check in regarding what they have told me in the past, just to see if they're still on track or if plans have changed. Or if not, I'm still here to help you. Who else do you know that I can help right now?
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So, okay, the sort of lead process we talked about, the nurturing, went into detail there. What about the actual sale itself? At the end of the day, you can do all this marketing and all this prospecting, but at the end of the day, you have to execute and deliver on the service you're offering to the buyer or the seller. So, um, talking about on the selling side, so like how do you differentiate your listings from, especially in like hot markets like now, how do you differentiate your listings from like the dozens or even hundreds of other listings in your community?
Well, it's all about pricing. So whenever I do meet up with the seller, and even before I meet with them in person, I am very good when it comes to pre-qualifying, because I don't want to waste my time or the seller's time if they're not being realistic. So I like to set the expectations up front on what is going to happen should we work together. So pre-qualifying and asking a lot of questions. That way, when I meet with them in person, I know that I'm getting the contract signed. So going over the price, making sure that it shows well and that it's easy to show. That's ultimately what's going to allow that property to sell in the best time possible, along with, us bringing our active marketing, posting it on social media, shooting it out to our database and every single person that we have talked to or that we have an email for. So that is kind of what we do that has always worked, and how we're able to deliver the results and get these properties sold in the best time possible, so that at the end of the day they see, Loida and her team, they put their money where their mouth is and they got the job done.
I love it. Yeah, so it really does start and end with pricing.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you're right there. So let's say after the sale now, the job isn't done, of course. Like you have to sort of continue engaging and building the relationship with client. Hopefully they're repeat clients and provide you referrals. So is there anything specific you do with clients after the close to stay engaged with them? Or do they sort of follow in maybe a different segment or just stay engaged in the same ways you've already mentioned?
Yeah, well, I like to stay engaged with them, with sending them, postcards. I also like to give them market updates so they know exactly what's going on in the market. Again, sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't, but at least they're still hearing from me. If it's buyers, for example, I like to give them market updates on potentially how much the value of the property has increased or what has happened in their neighborhood. That way they're familiar. Many times they eventually want to refinance or take some money out or do something. So they know that I will always still be their resource when it comes to real estate needs and I can connect them with whoever it is that they want. So I do like to stay in touch, and many of them stay in touch with me and reach out to me and send me referrals and say, hey, Loida, I have a friend. I gave them their number. I gave them your number, and I'm going to text you there so you can help them too, because I've talked really good things about you. So that's kind of how it has been.
Nice, that's awesome. So another question I have. So you close again, call it 40 deals a year. I'm sure every deal is different and has its unique sets of challenges. Do you have any examples of a deal that like stood out that was maybe non-traditional or like a hurdle you had to overcome? Any story you want to share?
There, I have a few stories, just like you said. I mean, every transaction is different, every client is different. I have the clients that are like easy peasy, we get the job done, they sign everything, no headaches. And then there's others that you would think they would be the easiest deals, and it's like you're pulling teeth because they don't sign on time, people are getting mad, and now we have to handle people's emotions. I think the toughest transaction that I have done so far in my career is selling a property that was tenant occupied, where the tenants just were not cooperating at all. The seller was super emotional, crying every single time that I spoke to her. The tenants didn't want to leave. They felt that they had all the right to stay there. And it was just the biggest nightmare ever. And this was maybe like in the first year that I got into the business. So going through this, being brand new, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Because this is really emotionally draining and physically as well, because I had never gone through it. But one thing that I have learned all these years is that at the end of the day, things will work out. One way or another, it's going to work out, whether the deal's going to go through or it's going to fall apart. Something's going to happen. And then you just got to move on, learn from it, and then not let that hold you down. Because if you now keep that scenario, whatever happened in the back of your head, it's going to stop you from going to the next level and pushing through. And sometimes we need these tests to see how strong you are, because if that deal breaks you, then you know what, maybe this business is not for you, because that's only like a little thing. And now if you're going to be in this business a long time, you have no idea what else is coming your way.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, the pieces will fall how they may, but you just got to keep it moving and keep it going. I'm curious though, how did you overcome that? Did you end up selling that property? Did those tenants have to leave or?
Yeah, so I did end up selling that property. So the way that it happened, I met with the seller at the property. The tenants did know that she was selling, and she had given me a key to the place. And we met at the home when the tenants weren't there. So the seller ended up leaving. I was putting the key in the lockbox, and it turns out that that key didn't work. And I called her, hey, the key does not work. Long story short, maybe like 30 minutes later, the tenants get home, and then they start giving me these ugly faces, because obviously they know I'm there to sell the house. But I'm trying to come across in a way like, look, I'll help you guys find another home because I know it's not fair, or no one likes to move. So tell me what you're looking for. That way we make it easy for everyone and everyone's happy. So initially they were very standoffish, giving me attitude, and then when they saw that I was being friendly, they calmed down a little bit, and then they actually were able to give me a copy of the key for me to use. So we talked about everything. Everything was cool. They told me what they were looking for. They were like, you know what, maybe we're thinking about buying, and I connected them with my lender. So then it was a husband and the wife. It turns out that they had separated somehow. They were having issues. And as we're in the transaction, they have even bigger issues between themselves. And that's when things just went bad. the husband left. Then they were saying, you know, we're not going to pay rent. They need to pay us money to get out. And out here, there are certain areas where you do have to give the tenants maybe like cash for keys or something like that, especially if there's rent control. But where this property was at, none of that was necessary, and they had been given a 60-day notice. So, um, yeah, it was a big headache, but I would still be calling them and saying, hey, I'm still looking for a place for you, even though you hate me. And it got to the point that many times when I would call, the wife would say, she would tell me, Loida, you know, we hate you, right? Every time you call, we hate talking to you. And I'm like, I know, but you know, nothing's going to change because I'm still selling the house and you guys still need to move. So at the end of the day, I went on Craigslist. We were able to find a rental that took them. They moved out, and even after we closed, they called me a month after and they said, "Hey, Loida, you know, we were really rude during the transaction, but we really appreciate all of the help and you always being there for us, even though we weren't the best people, because now we're living in a nicer home that we're all happy in." So it all ended up working out, but during the transaction, it was just the biggest headache ever.
That's a great story. That's good experience to have in your
Yeah,
first year.
yeah,
That's for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
So, you know, to if you had to give, like, last question I have for you, if you had to give one piece of advice to either, you know, a brand new agent or even like an experienced agent that's looking to really step up their game, what would that piece of advice be?
I would say you have to picture yourself already at that level of success that you're looking to be in. Because if you're not picturing yourself, then you might always be doubting whether or not you can achieve it. And that's what really helped me take my business to the next level. I remember being brand new and thinking, oh, if I have 3 deals going on in a month, like that would be amazing. And that sounds like a lot. But when I got to that point three, I was like, three, well, that was easy. I got to step it up. We got to make it five now. And then that's just how you continue growing. And it's like, when you go through these crazy scenarios and crazy situations that might be a nightmare, this is like the test for you to, okay, if you pass this now, you can graduate to the next level, and then what is it going to be next? So yeah, picturing yourself as that successful top producer agent that's doing 10 deals a month, that's making xyz amount in commission. I think that's what's going to motivate you to always be consistent and hit your numbers, because you know at the end of the day it's very possible that you're going to do it. You just have to believe in yourself as well.
I totally agree. I'm curious to hear, like, did you always have this sort of like killer instinct growth entrepreneur mindset, or is that something you got later on?
I feel that when I got into real estate, it's when I really started to grow. Growing up, even when I was younger in school, in high school, college, I was always very a shy, introverted person. I didn't really like to talk. Public speaking would terrify me, and that's, I know, something that a lot of people are scared of. So the fact that I'm doing what I'm doing now, even if you were to talk to my high school friends, they would say Lloyda's a completely different person. But I knew that when I got into this business, this is what it would take for me to succeed, even if it meant me stepping out of my comfort zone and doing things that would scare me or would terrify me, because no one else, not that many people have the guts to, you know, be putting out video and get negative comments or say, oh, you don't know what you're doing, but I'm still pushing through and it hasn't stopped me. So it's just all growth in mindset and believing in myself. That's what really has given me the confidence to do what I do.
Amazing. That's awesome. Loida, I do end off each chat with what I call the top three. I know we're cutting it short for time, but top three heavy hitting questions. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Number one, your favorite, and you mentioned you like to read, so I'm curious, your favorite book or most impactful book that you've read?
It probably has been How to Develop a Six-Figure Income by Mike Ferry. That was one of the first books that I read when I got into the business. I remember I read it like in a day or two, and that's what really gave me that fire to like, okay, let's implement all of this because someone already did it. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let's just do it and take off.
Nice. That's awesome. Do you reread that, or was that just a one time read?
No, I do still like to reread it.
Nice, nice. Number two, your favorite vacation spot.
I would have to say Puerto Rico. I
Okay,
love it out
nice.
there, the Caribbean. Yes.
Very cool. And lastly, if you can go back, what's the one thing you wish you knew when you were just starting out in real estate?
If I could go back, probably how social media and doing video would impact my success. I would probably have been putting out more content way from the beginning.
Nice. That's awesome. And if someone wanted to learn more, reach out, where's the best place they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube or on Instagram, Loida Velas, or you can just go to my website, loidavelasquez.com.
Awesome. I'll put that in the notes as well. Loida, thank you so much. I'm so happy we connected. This was such an amazing chat. I think so many people listening are going to get inspired and get a lot of amazing insights and value. So thank you so much. Really appreciate the time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Hope we can do it again sometime.
Yes, of course.
All right. All right. Take care. Have a good one.
Bye.